And today I want us to move to the next topic. Now, we have covered almost everything that you need to know in terms of companies, but there are other issues that we'll be addressing as we go. So as we find them in the past papers, we will be addressing them. We will also be addressing the question of returns as well as execution of documents. We shall address that as we move as well. So, like I said, companies is very big, and you can't address or actually go through companies in one sitting. So, because of that, we will be addressing everything in the course outline, but also address other issues that can be said. Because remember that CLE can set everything that is in that act without even confirming whether you've been taught that or not. But anyway, anything that is in the course outline may be said or will be said. So that is our movement for today. Now, I want us to go through the next topic, which is the question to do with the MPSR. Okay, the question to do with the MPSR. So I don't know whether you know what MPSR is or you've had time to go through the MPSR. And if you haven't, well and good, we shall do that. But if you have gone through MPSR, then it is an amazing time for you. Okay. Now the recording is up, and I want us to move very quickly because I have a lot of things that I want us to discuss, and MPSR is just one of them. Now, when you talk about the MPSR, what are we talking about? When we talk about MPSR, what is it that we are talking about? Okay. What is your understanding of MPSR? Now, MPSR is a topic about raising capital. Okay. It's a topic about raising capital. Are you together? All right, sorry. It's a topic about raising capital. When you raise capital. Okay. So one of the ways in which you can remember the discussion we had in the last week, and we said that a company can raise money through a lot of ways. A company can raise money through a lot of ways. One of them is an MPSR. Now, MPSR comes from the movable property securities. Okay, movable property securities. Now, this is the shortest and the most direct topic in commercial, because it really is about the raising of capital through the movable assets that the company has or that the company is having. Are you together? That is what we are talking about. So you raise capital through the movable assets. So from the wording or from the name, it is the movable properties, securities, rights. Okay, so you create a security over the movable asset. That is exactly what we are talking about. That is all about the MPSR. So everything else we shall discuss is about how then do we raise this capital? Fine, it's about raising capital through MPSR. How then do we raise this capital? How is the capital raised? What are the nitty-gritties of raising this capital through the MPSR? So that when you look at a question and you're being told that person XYZ is intending, okay, person XYZ is intending to raise capital, they don't have anything in their backyard except a car. Therefore, you will have to advise them on how to raise capital, on how to raise capital. Now, before you even get there, before you understand what the MPSR is, it is very important for you to understand how we got to MPSR. How did we get here? How did we get here that now we are using our laptops, we are using our phones to raise capital? Guys, am I too fast? Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Mwalimu.
Okay. All right. Now, let us go through how we got here. because it is very important for you to understand how we got through to the MPSR. How did we get to the point where we are now having the MPSR? Now, there used to be acts of parliament that used to exist before the MPSR. The first one is the Hire Purchase Act. Okay, those of you that went through the normal education system in Kenya, you might have studied hire purchase either in primary or in high school, whichever side. Okay, I think maths was compulsory in all schools, so you must have done hire purchase. Okay, so hire purchase is where you get a product or an item by payment in installments. So you take the item and you pay in installments through hire purchase, and of course the price is usually higher than as the name suggests. Okay, the next one was the Chattels Transfer Act. The Chattels Transfer Act. The Chattels Transfer Act. Right together. Now, the Chattels Transfer Act was an act that created something called the pledge. Okay, the pawn, where we used to have two people. We have the pawner and the pawnee. Okay, let me type those words in the chat so that we are not confusing. You know, some of you are busy. So I'm typing them there. So that is the pawn, that one. And then we used to have the pawner or the pawno, whichever way you want to call it. And then we used to have the pawnee. Those ones, please. Those three, they're very important words when it comes to understanding the Chattels Transfer Act. Now, Chattels Transfer Act is not complicated. It is what created the Shylocks. Okay? It is what created the Shylocks. And some of you have interacted with Shylocks. Okay? Some of you have interacted with the Shylocks. Are you together? And Shylocks are not good people. Shylocks are really not good. If you see them somewhere, you need to run for your life. You need to run for your life. Okay? So Shylocks, you know how they're still there. They're still there. So what happens with Shylock is that you take your item to them. They give you money on a very ridiculous rate. You go squander the money, and then most of the time you will not be able to pay back the money, and therefore they will remain with your items. Okay. If you live in Rongai, I don't know about other places. If you live in Rongai, as you walk along the road, you normally see a lot of secondhand things. You know, you normally see a lot of secondhand things that are being sold along the road. Those people didn't buy those things. They didn't buy them. Somebody used those things as a loan. So you give them and you don't pay back because the rates are ridiculous. Very, very super ridiculous. I don't know whether Kamiri is in this class. Kamiri is a renowned Shylock. Kamiri, are you here? Kamiri is not here. So the rates are very ridiculous. So for that reason, normally people don't pay back. So if you take your bed there, I use your bed as a collateral. Normally they give you, could be 5,000 or 10,000, depending on the value of your bed. And then most of the time you will not be able to pay. So they remain in the bed and they will sell your bed at a second hand. So that is what Shylock used. That system. That system is called a Chattels transfer system. Okay. It created a system called the chattel mortgages. Chattel mortgages, you're mortgaging your item, your chattel. A chattel is a movable property. Okay, you know the system, the difference between a mortgage and a charge. A mortgage and a charge. A mortgage is whereby you transfer the title to the lender. You give the title to the lender or you give the lender ownership. If it is a car, if you want to mortgage your car, though nowadays we don't have car mortgages, we still do if you want to. If you want to mortgage your car, you drive it to the bank. You give it to the bank will have it. Okay, the bank will keep it. You go squander the money. And then once you're done squandering the money, you go back to court. Sorry, you go back to the bank. The bank will give you back your car once you pay. Okay, that is a chattel mortgage. If it is a laptop, okay, if it is a laptop, you give it to the Shylock. The Shylock gives you money. You know, I remember a friend of mine in high school, in campus, that is, that mortgage is a laptop on my advice. You know, we were so broke until the only thing that we had was his laptop, not even mine. So I advised him to give the laptop to Shylock so that we can get 5,000 and eat. The laptop is, I think it was worth 20-something thousand, and we mortgaged it for 5,000. So we squandered that 5,000 in 1 week. The laptop was gone, and the hunger was back. So run away from Shylock's. Run away thoroughly. Don't even look at them twice. Okay, so you can give your laptop to someone. They give you money, they hold your laptop. So that is a chattel mortgage. You're mortgaging your chattel, you're giving it away in exchange of something. Okay, now that something can be, I'll talk about this later. So we used to have those systems. The Chattel Mortgages Act that provided Chattel Transfer Act that brought the system of chattel mortgages. Number two, we used to have the hire purchase. So you go to a seller, the seller will give you whatever you want. You want a television, yes, you get it, and then you enter into some arrangements, and then you'll be paying some amount of money monthly. Okay, and then of course, if you default, they'll come back for the TV. If that is what they gave you, they will come back for it. Okay, that was the chattels, the hire purchase system. Now, because of that, it became so horrible that small and medium businesses were not able to operate, efficiently. So you can imagine if you have a printer, if you are doing the business of a cyber, okay, if you're a cyber person and you have just one printer, and you want to, expand your business, normally you'll have to take a loan. But if you don't have anything, you'll have to take a loan on your printer. So you give the Shylock your printer, and then the Shylock will give you money. But as you already know, that will make no sense because it is the only printer that you have. So small businesses were affected because they were not able to raise securities for the loans or facilities that were taking. Now, because of that, the Parliament in 2017, that is through the Act number 13 of 2017, sat and introduced the Movable Property Securities Rights Act. So that Act, that is number 13 of 2017, that Act introduced the movable property system. Okay. Now, the same way we used to have mortgages, and then they were replaced by charges, is the same way we used to have the chattel mortgages that are now being replaced by the movable or the MPSR. Are we together? So the MPSR has now replaced, okay, the MPSR has replaced the chattel mortgage system. Are we together? That is what you need to understand. So what did the Parliament say? The Parliament said, now, if you have a laptop, like me and my friend, we don't need to take it to this guy. Okay, we don't need to take it to this Shylock. We can just create a security right over it, remain with the laptop in your house, and then you will be given the money. You squander the money. Once you are done repaying back the money, then you can you can have your laptop. Are we together? That is what it is now saying. That, hey, you still can go to the Shylock, but we are now giving you an option. What is the option? Create a security right. Create a security right. Okay, you create a security right over the laptop, and then instead of giving the laptop away, you remain with it, but it is charged, quote unquote, it is charged. The same way, in mortgages, you used to give the bank the title to that house. Okay, not the title that the paper. The title should read the bank's name. Okay, so if you work for the bank, or if you still work for the bank, you know how banks do that. Not even just banks, companies. They will give you money, and then they will tell you you are going to buy a house. Okay, you'll buy the house. The house will be registered in the name of the company and you, and then you'll be paying slowly, because they don't want to let you go. So you'll stick with them for years and years because you know if you leave, they're going to come back and take your house. So that is a mortgage. Okay, the lender normally retains possession or has some control over the title. Okay, but charges now came, and charges said, no, you don't have to transfer the title to the name of the bank. Just create a charge on the property, and then if you do a search, you'll find the name of the bank as the chargee. The same thing for the MPSR. Don't take your laptop. Okay, don't take your laptop to the Shylock. What you can do, just create a security what? A security right. okay, over your laptop, remain in your laptop. So if I go and do a search at the collateral registry, then I will find that this laptop has been charged to the bank or charged to this specific Shylock. Are you together? Now let us talk about the objectives of the act. Why did this act come in place? Why did the act come in place? Why did we get this act? Why do we have the act? Okay, why do we have the act? Why do we have this act? Somebody is asking me whether this laptop story is true. It's very much true story. When I think about that story, I just cry. How that Shylock did us that. Yes. We never got to buy that laptop until we graduated. Very sad. So please run away from Shylocks. Those guys are agents of the devil, straight from hell on a return ticket. All right. So that is that. So let us look at the act. I'm trying to project the act. You can see there. You can see there. Let us go to section 3. I want somebody to read for us section 3. That is the one that has the objective. Why do you think this act was brought in place? Section 3, quickly, so that we can address something else. Or section 3. Somebody read for us section 3, the objects. Section 3.
The objects of
Can I read?
I'll proceed.
Someone is reading. Who is that? Now all of you are off. Somebody read.
All right. So objects. The objects of this act are to A. Promote consistency and certainty in secured financing relating to movable assets. B. Enhance the ability of individuals and entities to access credit using movable assets. And C. To establish the office of the registrar and a registry to facilitate the registration of security rights in movable assets.
All right, so quickly, promote consistency and certainty in secured financing that relates to movable assets. Now, before this, there used to be lack of certainty because you didn't know what is happening. You just give your property. These loans are very easy to get. They're very, very easy to get. You know, you'll be told, just 3,000, just 3,000, just take 3,000, just give me a phone, just take 3,000. In 2 weeks, 1 week, you shall have paid back and you come back for your phone. Okay, you will realize that 3,000 will go to 10,000 real quick. And before you know it, you are using a kabambi. So that was inconsistency. So the law came to regulate that part. Okay, the law came to regulate that part so that we know when it comes to movable assets, we are all going under the MPSR. The next one is to enable the ability, like this is what I mentioned. If you don't have land, you don't have a car, not really a car, but you don't have a house, you don't have the tangible, you don't have a ship, you don't have an aircraft, you can still use the small things that you have as your bed, as your laptop, as your phone, as your car to get a secured financing. Okay, and then lastly is to secure, is to create the office of the registrar of collateral. So if you go to your eCitizen, I hope right now everybody has an eCitizen account. If you walk to your eCitizen account, you will find a tab there for the collateral registry. So there's a registrar of collaterals, and that is the MPSR registrar. Because so that is the objective of the act. Now, the scope of the act, again, it covers everything that is movable, everything that is movable. Okay. Now, let us talk about the a quick definition, quick definitions in terms of what do you need to understand? What do you need to understand in as far as MPSR is concerned? What is it that you need to understand in as far as the MPSR is concerned? Okay, the first thing is a security right. We have been talking about the creation of a security right. What is this animal called a security right? Who is that? Can you drink some water and clear your voice? Drink some water, please. Who is that? Okay. So what is this thing we are calling a security right? Now, a security right is the right that is created, okay? The right that is created on the item, okay? To secure an obligation, okay? So that right that you're giving the bank over your property, the right you're giving the Shylock over your property, the right you're giving the a lender over your car, that is a security right, because that property is now being used as a security, and therefore on it there's a security right. Okay. The next thing you need to understand is a person we are calling the grantor. Okay, the grantor. The grantor is like the charger. The grantor is like the charger. The charger is the owner of the land that is being charged. On this end, the grantor is the owner of the item or the collateral that we are creating a security right over. Are we together? And now you need to understand why we are calling him the grantor. Why is it being called the grantor? Because he's the one granting the security right. The property is his, is the one granting the security right. So for the fact that he's the one granting the bank a security right or granting a lender a security right, then that is the grantor. So we call him the grantor. The next one is a person we are calling the secured creditor. So the secured creditor is the person that has given you the money, the lender. Now this is why it needs to make sense. The lender can be anyone. Guys, the lender can be anyone. The lender could be a bank. Not all the times the lender will be a bank. Okay? The lender can be anyone. And this applies to charges also. The chargee doesn't have to be the bank all the time. Okay? So the examiner knows that you know that the chargee is always the bank. So the examiner will not bring a chargee as the bank. What will the examiner do? The examiner will bring you a chargee who is a natural person, and then you will be confused. You'll be looking at the entire question, looking for the bank, but you will never find the bank. Okay? So the lender can always, okay, can always be a private person. Okay, together. So that is the lender. Okay, we can have the bank, the microfinances. You know the microfinances, okay? The Kenya Women Finance Trust. You know that one. Everybody knows that one. Another agent of the devil. Okay, the Kenya Women Finance Trust. You know those horror stories of what Kenya women have done to the women in Kenya specifically. You know, you will be sleeping with your wife in the village, and you wake up and your roof is gone. You're wondering why your roof is not there. Kumbe it's your wife that took a loan, and Kenya women have come for the roof. Or will come and take all your cows, you know, because your wife took a loan. Very, very sad stories of Kenya women. But I think the government has tried to regulate them nowadays. Nowadays, you don't hear the horror stories of Kenya women raiding people's houses and taking the roof. For real. You think it's a joke? They take roofs, they take all the iron sheets on your roof and they go with it. You know? Some people think it is Java. No, it's not. Ask women from your village. They've seen dust. So that is a microfinance. They're not a bank, but they're microfinance. Okay, and they're licensed under the Microfinance Act, and they are also lenders. They can give you money. If they give you money, run away. If you walk on the road and they're telling you, oh, we are from Kenya Women, take the next available nduthi. Now take a visa. So that is a microfinance. We also have the individual lenders, you and me. I can give you money, you can give me money, and I'll become the lender. So the secured creditor is the person that has given the money, okay? The person that is going to hold the security right that is being held by the secured creditor. Are you together? That is the secured creditor. Now, the next thing you need to understand is the collateral. Now, what is the collateral? Collateral is very easy now because a collateral is simply the movable asset that you're using as security. Okay, whatever you're using as a security, that is the collateral. Okay, is the collateral. So the Act defines the collateral to mean any tangible and intangible asset, any tangible and intangible moving asset or movable asset. What you can move. A house is not a movable asset, though there are certain houses that are movable. Okay, like the farmhouses. When you talk about a farmhouse, you've seen people transporting houses, just a cabin. You just transport it and put it somewhere. That is a farmhouse. A farmhouse is movable property. It's not a house in the farm. A farmhouse is different from a house in the farm. Okay. Normally, people will construct some structure and put it at the farm or in your garden or somewhere. That is a movable asset. It is movable. You can move it from there to the other place. Okay. We have now the intangibles. Okay. The intangibles, things like shares, things like IP. Okay. Things like IP. In terms of IP, we are talking about copyrights. We're talking about trademarks, patents, utility models. All those are IPs. Okay, they are IPs, intellectual properties. So those are movable assets that are intangible. Tangible, you can touch. Intangible, you can't touch. Okay, so those are tangible. I mean intangible assets, IPs, trademarks. Those are intangible. Shares, something that you can't see. Okay, something that you can't see. That is an intangible. And then we have the tangible ones. Everything that you can see, so long as it has a commercial value. Even your pen can be a security right. You can create a security right over your pen, so long as you can demonstrate that this pen has a value, and so long as the person that is taking the pen will pay a value for it. So everything that you can see, all the tangibles that you can see, all the tangibles that you can see. Are you together? Those are the collaterals, including what you call the deliverables. Deliverables is just money. Okay, the money. So money is also, you can create a security right over some payments. If you are supposed to be paid next week, you can create a security right over that payment. Okay, that is part of collaterals. And then we have the secured obligation. What is a secured obligation? Okay, what is a secured obligation? A secured obligation is now, what is it that you're being given money for? Or what is it, not really being given money for, but what is it that you're creating your security right over? So it can be anything. So if I can charge your car and give you money, okay, it could be money, or it could be something which is not money. For instance, your father can give you money, or not money. Your father can charge your car and say, fine, my friend, if you don't pass the bar exam, I'm going to possess this car. Okay, so your car has been, there's a security right over your car in favor of your father, who is now the secured creditor, in exchange of an obligation, which is passing of the bar exam. Or you'll be told, if you don't go to school, I will take the laptop. So you can proceed and create a right over that in exchange of a performance of an obligation. So it doesn't have to be money. That is one thing, again, that you need to understand. The same way, the lender doesn't have to be the bank. The same way, a secured obligation doesn't have to be money. It could be anything. Go to school, go work in my land, go do this for me, go and cook in my house, all those things. Okay, so that is the question of secured obligation. So that summarizes the question of definition. So those are the things you need to understand in as far as definition is concerned on the preliminary grounds, so that when we are discussing and moving on, you are quickly understanding. Now, any question up there? Any person that is confused? Any confusion? Musyoka?
Yes, Mwalimu, just a question. So when I look at the definition of a collateral, it says, just get to it, says a movable asset that is subject of a security right or a receivable that is the subject of an outright transfer. Then when you defined a secured obligation, it then excludes an outright transfer of a receivable. So I was just wondering what is the meaning of an outright transfer of a receivable?
So receivable is money. Okay, receivable is money. So if you are expecting to receive some money, that is a receivable. You can create a charge over it. You can create a charge over it. So long as the person that is having that money needs to transfer it to you, it must be your money that you are expecting. We'll talk about part of this in civil. We'll talk about a garnishi and everything else. So you can't create a charge over somebody else's money. It must be your money that is due to you. It is money that is due to you. Okay? You are due to receive the transfer. So if that person can't transfer it to you, okay, if you can't get a transfer of that specific deliverable, a receivable, then you cannot clear it. It can't fall within the meaning of a collateral. So you must be having some interest, a transferable interest in that receivable. I don't know whether we are speaking from the same page.
But anyway, just so that it's clear, maybe I'm looking at it from an accounting perspective. When you look at a receivable, it basically means a debt. Is that correct? So if you have a debt, you have an asset, basically. So are we saying when you're looking at MPSR, you cannot then use a debt as a security?
You can, like I've said, if somebody owes you money and they're supposed to transfer it to you, that is a debt. Whatever they owe you is a debt. When you look at the meaning of a debt, okay, there are a lot of things that will form part of a debt, not just you having a debt agreement. When you deposit your money in the bank, that is a debt that the bank owes you. You become the creditor to the bank. So long as somebody is having your money and they're supposed to pay you back, that in itself is a debt that they owe you. It doesn't have to be necessarily a debt in the meaning of, in the ordinary sense of a debt, but that is a debt. Even your salary is a debt that is owed to you by your employer. So long as at the moment you are creating the security right, that money is due to you. You have a right over it, that it should be transferred to you, then it falls within the collaterals that we talk about.
Okay.
Are we together?
Makes sense, Malim. Thanks.
Joan, lastly, I don't want to take questions right now, so shelve all the questions for later.
So what can we say is the difference between what you've just explained about receivables and deliverables?
No, receivables, leave alone deliverables. Deliverables is a task. If you're supposed to do something, that is just a slip of the tongue. When you're supposed to do something, that's a deliverable. What you need to do. For instance, you're supposed to pay someone, you're supposed to till someone else's land, you're supposed to file a document. Those are deliverables. Receivables are money.
Okay.
All right. Okay, fine. Let's move to section 6. Now, the next thing you need to understand now is how do we create the security right now? We talk about security right now. How do we create it? Very, very important, guys. If somebody comes to you and they're telling you they have a car and they want a loan, they want money, you need to explain to them, you need to tell them how they can get that. And that will start from the creation of a security right. How do they create a security right? So you'll tell them that as per the MPSR, that is the act, you can create a security right over this car in favor of the lender in exchange of this X amount of money or this. Okay, now that is created by this. You have to tell them what they need to do and how they do it. Okay, so you tell them what they need to do and how it is created. How is it created? And what will be the content of the document that is creating the security right? And then what happens after? What happens after the creation? So what do they need to do? They need to create a security right. How they create it, okay? Contents of the document creating the security right. And then what happens after the creation? That is what you need to understand. What happens after the creation? So that you're giving a wholesome advice or opinion getting all your marks. So we discussed the question of what it is. You create a security right over it. Okay. Number 2 is how you create it. That is under section 6 of the Act. Somebody read for us section 6 of the Act. Somebody quickly give us a reading of section 6 of the Act. What does it say?
Section 6, creation of a security right. Creation by execution of a security agreement. 1. A security right is created by a security agreement, provided that the grantor has rights in the asset to be encumbered or the power to encumber it.
So the first thing before you proceed to 2 is that you create a security right by a security agreement so long as the grantor has the rights over the asset. These are very simple thing. What is the meaning of that word? That you can't create a security right over something that is not yours. So you must have the right over the asset or the collateral, or you should have the power to encumber it. If it is a car, it is either it is your car or the owner of the car has given you the power to encumber it. Are you together? Could be a power of attorney, could be a delegation of something. You must be given the power by the proprietor of that car to encumber that car. Yes, proceed. 2.
2. A security agreement may provide for the creation of a security right in a future asset, but the security right in that asset is created only at the time when the grantor acquires right in it or the power to encumber it.
Yes.
3.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you. Now, let me explain and give an example. You can create a security right over a future asset. It means right now, sina gari, okay? But I will say in the next 1 month, I will get a car. So you can charge that car when I finally get it. But the security agreement will only start operating after you acquire the car, okay? After you acquire the car. Are you together? So you can have it in future, but until you get it, until you find it or you have the rights over it, you cannot claim any security right, or you cannot claim a security right over it until the grantor has actually acquired it or has acquired the rights over it. Now let us read. So that is how you create it. That is how it is created. You create a security agreement by a security, you create a security right by a security agreement. Guys, let's make this clear. You are creating a security right, okay? You are creating a security right by a security agreement. So what creates the right is the agreement. Are you guys together? It is the agreement that will create the right. The agreement will create the right. That is very, very, very important. So that is the second thing you're going to ask this. You're going to tell this person how they create it by a security agreement. Now remember, guys, there is no format for this security agreement. There is no format for the security agreement. What do I mean? I mean, every person will have their own format. Every person will have their own format. Every company, every bank will have their own format, so long as it has the contents listed in 3. So you create it. So what is your advice to Jane? That Jane can create a security right over the motor vehicle. Number 2, how do they create it? They create it by a security agreement executed by the grantor, who is now Jane. Now, the next thing is, what are the contents of the security agreement? Yes, Cynthia, proceed.
Section 3. A security agreement shall A. Be in writing and signed by the grantor. B. Identify the secured creditor and the grantor. C. Except in the case of an agreement that provides for the outright transfer of a receivable, describe the secured obligation, and D. Describe the collateral as provided in Section 8. 4. A security agreement entered into in accordance with this section is enforceable and creates a security right, irrespective of the satisfaction of the requirements that may be imposed by any other written law.
Thank you very much. Now, that is the security agreement. What are the contents of the security agreement? Number one, a security agreement should be in writing. That is the first one, of course, is an agreement. Number two, must be signed by the grantor. The grantor is the one that is giving the right, is granting the right to the secured, to the secured creditor to have a right over his car, laptop, shoe, bed, whatever. Okay. Number two, the security agreement must identify the secured creditor. So, name and description of the secured creditor. Name and description of the secured creditor. Number three, name and description of the grantor. Name and description of the grantor. And the grantor here, I've said, is the person that is granting the right over his property. Are you together? Okay. Now, the next one after the grantor is the description of the collateral. Now, this is provided for under Section 8, but you need to understand that you need to define the collateral in a manner that makes it easy for anyone to pick out the collateral. Okay? We need to be able to pick out the collateral from the from a group, for instance. If it is a car, when I go to the car yard, I should be able to say that this is the car. You describe it in all ways possible. The name of the car, or the make of the car, the model, the color, the registration number, and anything. If it is a laptop, the type of the laptop, the processor, the general description, the serial number. If it is a phone, whichever phone you are having, you have to give a clear description of the phone. If it is an animal, something I failed to mention is that animals are also collaterals. You can create a security right over your animal. Okay? You can create a security right over your animal. So if you have a cow in the village, you're a rich man. If you have a cow, if you have a goat, if you have whatever you have, that can be a collateral. The next one is if you have crops, you have some sacks of maize. Okay, you have some sacks of maize, and that sack of maize is a very special type of maize, or there's a projection that maize will be so rare. Maize will be so rare in the next year. So whoever has maize, one bag will be going for maybe 30,000. Then in that instance, if you have 100 bags of such maize, you can create a security right over them, and the bank will give you a loan and secure that loan with the maize. So if you sell that maize without the bank's authority, you're going to committee. Okay, you're going to committee. That is a fraud. That is an offense. All right. So a description of the collateral. You can create a security right even over your shoes. Okay. If you are confident that your pair of shoes can fetch you some good money in the market, okay, can fetch you some good money in the market. You're having some very nice designers that you can create a security right over. You describe them. You have to give a description of those shoes. Okay. If it is your jacket, for instance, guys, what I'm trying to say is that every asset that you have can be a collateral. So long as you can describe it to the extent that we can be able to identify it. Okay. We must be able to identify it from the description. All right. So that's a description of the collateral. And then lastly is a description of the secured obligation. Now, what is a secured obligation? I have said, and I'm still saying, that a secured obligation is that obligation that you created the security right for. So, passing the bar exam, repayment of money. So if I give you a loan, the obligation there is payment of money, repayment of the loan. If I secure, if I take your laptop, or I create a security right over your laptop until you pass the bar exam. So the secured obligation is passing the bar exam. If I take your phone, or I create a security right over your phone on the condition that you go to school every day, then I will have that, and that is what that is the secured obligation. So whatever you are required to do, okay, if I tell you that you are not supposed to be on TikTok, if I see you on TikTok, I'm going to take your laptop. That is a secured obligation. Men that are on TikTok, if you're a man and you're on TikTok, we have lost you. You find men on TikTok tapping the screen at midnight or at 1, and you guys wonder what is wrong with the nation. What is wrong with the nation is you tapping on TikTok at ungodly hours. Why do you even have that app in your phone? If you're in this class, delete that app. Anyway, so that is a secured obligation. Anything that can be done, doesn't have to be money. I've said, guys, it doesn't have to be money. So examiner will tell you that James and John enter in this kind of arrangement, that the one will do this, provided that the other person goes to maybe to school or anything else, and you'll be there wondering, where's the money? Who has the loan? Who has taken out a loan? No, it doesn't have to be a loan, guys. It doesn't have to be a loan. It can be anything, so long as it can be done. A secured obligation. A secured obligation. Tuko sawa? So that is what the content of that agreement is. Guys, this agreement has no name. Guys, this agreement has no name. It has no name. It is just called a security agreement. Anybody can have their own security agreement so long as they have the contents under section 6. Okay? Some security agreements have a name. A mortgage will have a name. A debenture will have its name. A charge will have its name. But when it comes to the MPSR, there is no name for this specific document. It is just called a security agreement. Okay? A security agreement. Please understand that. So you'll be told, discuss the contents of that document that will be drafted in that question. You cannot understand that unless you understand what I've just said, that this document has no name. It is nameless. Tuko sawa? Tuko sawa. All right, now let us go to the next thing that I want you to understand, which is we have discussed the what, we have discussed how, now we are discussing the contents of the agreement, which we have discussed. The next thing is what happens after you have created it. Once you create the security agreement in that document, what happens next? The next thing that is going to happen is registration, or the perfection of a security right. Perfection of a security right. Okay? Perfection of a security right. Guys, are we together? Perfection of a security right. Now, registration is simply perfection. Okay? The examiner will tell you, discuss the process of perfecting the security right. And you will be there wondering, what is this thing called perfection? Perfection simply is registration. Now, when a document is registered, it is perfected. It is perfected. What is the meaning of being perfected? What is perfect? Okay? Documents are perfect when you register them. So what is really the meaning of perfection in this sense? Perfection is they are effective against everybody, including third parties. When a document is registered, they attain something called third-party effectiveness. Third-party effectiveness. It means they are perfect against third parties. They can bind the third parties. They bind everyone. And that is why we are calling them perfect. So the process of attaining third-party effectiveness is through perfection of a security, which is the registration. So when you register a charge, when a charge is created, it is binding between the charger and the chargee. Guys, when a charge is created, it is binding between the charger and the chargee. However, if you register that charge, the charge becomes perfect. Now, once it is perfect against the whole world. It will bind everyone in the world. It is perfect. When you create a security right in this document under section 6, it becomes binding between the grantor and the secured creditor. But when you register it, it becomes now perfect. It binds everyone. That is perfection of a security right. Why do you perfect a security right? To attain what we are calling the third-party effectiveness. A third-party effectiveness is what we are saying that a document will bind third parties. It is effective against third parties. Are you together? So the next question is how then, what is the process of registration of a security right? How do you register it? Okay, the process has been let me call it devolved on eCitizen. So you go on eCitizen and you register the notice. So the process of registration is done through notices on eCitizen. Notices on eCitizen. And I told you some of you should have, I mean, if you don't have eCitizen, you should have it. Create it. Create it. Some of you don't have eCitizen. Kazi ni kujiangalia Snapchat na TikTok. Now they don't know or they don't have eCitizen. So eCitizen is very important for you. Okay? eCitizen is very important for you. Have it because everything else you'll be doing. If you don't have eCitizen in your account, I mean in your phone, delete all the apps that you have. Okay? Actually buy a kabambe. Buy a kabambe. If there's nothing that phone is helping you with, there's nothing that laptop is helping you with. Just have a kabambe. Ukuwe unatumiwa M-Pesa na unapigia watu simu na SMS. Enough. You don't deserve to live in this world. Okay? So make sure you have an eCitizen account. Make sure you have an eCitizen account. Tuko sawa? So the registration of security rights is done on eCitizen through notices. So the first notice is the initial notice. Now the initial notice is the one that you're going to fill out and then you submit to the registrar. So how do you register? By filling out the initial notice. Number 2, paying the registration fee and then submitting the application, submitting the notice for, submitting the notice for registration to the register of collaterals. Normally, you don't need to register, you don't need to pay, but sometimes they ask you to pay. You don't need to pay though, but sometimes they will ask you to pay. That is how you register a security right through the initial notice. Now, what is the contents of the initial notice? The contents of the initial notice are what you can see on your screen. Everything you can see on your screen is the content of the initial notice, which are name and description of the grantor, name and description of the secured creditor, the description of the collateral, and the description of the secured obligation. As a matter of fact, when you go on eCitizen and you click add notice, you're going to add an initial notice. Now, the first thing you're going to indicate is the name and details of the grantor, names and details of the secured creditor, names and details of the collateral, and a description of the secured obligation. Okay, that is what we are saying. That is exactly what we're saying, and that is how you register security rights. So once you register it, once you fill out the form, you submit it virtually or electronically to the Register of Collaterals, and the Register of Collaterals will register it and have it in the register. And then anybody that conducts a search will find the property listed there. So if you go to your eCitizen again, if you want to conduct the search, you just go to the initial tab, and then you conduct the MPSR search. Just click MPSR search, and then you proceed and do the search. Okay, very, very simple. So that is the process of registration of the security right. Are we together? Now we have the initial notice. The second one, we have amendment notice, and then we have the cancellation notice. Now, initial notice is the one you use for registration processes when you are registering the security agreement. Number 2 is the amendment notice. Now, initial notice is done by the grantor. The initial notice is done by the grantor. Okay, the grantor is the one that does the sorry, is the one that does the initial notice. Number two is the amendment notice. From the name, it is used to amend. If you want to amend anything in the agreement, you do an amendment notice. And then number three is the cancellation notice. If you want to cancel the whole agreement, you do the cancellation notice. The same way in charges, we have discharge. In MPSR, we have a cancellation notice. Now, amendment notice and the cancellation notice are done by the secured creditor by the bank in this instance. If it was a bank, the bank is the one that will be doing the cancellation notice or the amendment notice. Okay. Guys.
Okay. Yes, noted.
So the first notice, the initial notice, is done by the grantor, the person that is creating the security right. Okay. The second notice, which is the amendment notice, is done when you want to amend anything. You could be amending the details of the collateral. You could be adding a collateral. You could be removing a collateral. You could be extending the term of the loan or reducing the term. Whatever you want to do, you want to amend, add, or remove, you have to do an amendment notice, which is done by the bank. And then the cancellation notice is also done by the bank. Okay. Now, what is the process of canceling the notice? What is the process of canceling the notice? All right. So if you want to cancel the security agreement, so what are the instances where you can cancel? The most obvious one is where the agreement has been extinguished because you've repaid back the loan, you have done your part, you've paid the bank, now you want your property back. So the bank is supposed to do a cancellation notice. So you'll apply to the secured creditor, you will apply to the secured creditor, or you will ask the secured creditor to register a cancellation notice. So the first process is have the secured creditor register a cancellation notice. Okay, that is the first one. The second one is if they don't do it, then you apply to the registrar to have a cancellation notice registered on the asset or on the collateral. So you first apply to the secured creditor or the bank if it is a bank. If they refuse, then you apply to the registrar of collaterals so that they can remove it. Register of collateral so that they can remove it for you. Okay, that is how you you do the initial notice, amendment notice, and the cancellation notice. Okay, initial notice and the cancellation notice. Now I have talked about perfection, that is the registration. I've talked about third-party effectiveness. I've said every perfected security, every security that is perfected is effective against third parties. It will bind third parties. Who is a third party in this question? Your wife could be a third party. Okay, your wife could be a third party. Your husband could be a third party. For instance, if you guys have a car and the husband uses this car, okay, the husband uses this car as a collateral. Now, if this agreement is not registered, then it will only bind the bank and the husband. If it is not registered, it will bind the bank and the husband. Are you together? But if it is registered, it will bind also the wife. It will bind the wife, and the wife cannot come and say, "Oh, I don't want this. I don't want this property to be sold, or this car to be sold." It will bind her too. Okay, so it is effective against any third party that might have an interest in the property. Could be a joint owner, could be anyone that has another claim that is different, could be the insurance company, could be anyone. So once it is registered, it is perfect against everyone. Why do you think it is perfect against everyone once it is registered? Okay, why once it is registered? Simply because it is assumed that anytime something is registered in the official register, every person knows. Every person knows. So once it is registered, the law assumes that wewe pia ulikuwa unajua iko registered. Hata kama hujaona, tunajua. We assume that you knew that it was registered, and therefore you can't run away from it. You are bound by it. Okay? All right, so that is third-party effectiveness. The other thing I need to mention quickly is priority. Now, the priority of security rights. Priority of security rights. Now, you can create more than one security right over your collateral. If you have a car that is worth 15 billion, or I don't think there's a car that is worth 15 billion, 15 million, for instance. Okay, if you have a car that is worth 15 million, you can create a security right over it many times as you want until you get to the limit of 15 million. Okay, so you can keep creating. One first time 2 million, another 3 million, another 1 million, another 200,000. You can create as many security rights over it as you want. Okay, now if you create more than one security right, then the question that comes is which one will be paid first? Which one will be paid first? Okay, which one ranks in priority? Now, if this security right is created by one person, okay, created by one person simply means that same grantor, then at that instance, the first one to be registered will carry the day. The first one to be registered will carry the day. Now, if this security right has been created by two different people, it means the grantor acquired it with a security right on it, then the first one to be created. Okay, so if it is created by one person over the same asset, the first one to be registered will rank in priority over the one that is not registered. The one that is not registered will still exist, but will not rank in priority over. Okay, but if you acquire a property that already has a security right on it, created by somebody else, and you also create a security right over it, then the first one to be created will be carrying the day. Or if you create a right, to two different people over your asset to two different people, then of course the first one to be registered will carry the day. That is the question of priority. So the first one to be registered versus the first one to be created. If they're different people. If they're different people, that is what we are saying. Guys, are we together? All right, so that is that. So the next thing that I want to talk about is the question of enforcement of a security right. How do you enforce a security right? How is a security right enforced? Now, anytime somebody is given a loan, there's a high percentage of a chance that they will default. People usually default. It's not news. Defaulting is part and parcel of humans. Everybody defaults. Anybody can default. So hata wewe ukipea mtu loan, peana amani. You hata banks na default, okay? Usipea mtu pressure ya loan ya 200, hata hawezi lala kwa amani. Akifungua tu simu pap, message. Fungua tu simu pap, I tried calling you. Why are you calling me? Ya loan ya 200. Peana amani. Everybody defaults. Now, if somebody defaults, if it was an MPSR and they have defaulted, what are your options? Your options are the same options that a bank will have in cases of a charge. There are only 5. So the first thing, if somebody defaults, you have to give a 2 months notice. 2 months notice. If they don't pay you within the 2 months, then what are you going to do? You are going to have 5 options. The first option is to sue them. You sue them to recover the money. Sue them to recover the money. The first option is to sue them to recover your money. Guys, tuko sawa? The second option, if you don't want to sue them, then you are going to appoint a receiver. When do you appoint a receiver? When do you appoint a receiver? Someone. When do you appoint a receiver? Gisore Kerubo.
When the property is income generating.
Yes, if the asset is an income generating asset, if the asset is generating some income, you appoint a receiver, okay? And like I've always said, receivers are like women. Huh? Receivers are like women. They were created to receive something. The same way women must receive something is the same way receivers must receive something. Okay? So if you have a woman in your life, make sure they're receiving something. They have to receive something small every week or every month. That depends on you. But receivers are not appointed anyhowly. Okay? Receivers are not appointed anyhowly. You have to receive, they have to receive something. Okay? They have to receive something. You have to, there must be some money. Okay? So send your people money. Send your mom money, send your sisters money, send your wives money, send your girlfriends money. Send money. Hata kama ni kuiba, enda uibe, watumie. Okay? Make sure you send the women in your life, send them something. Send them something. Are you together? So receivers are not just appointed anyhow. You only appoint a receiver over an asset that is generating an income so that they receive the income. Receivers receive the income. So if the asset is a car, okay, if the asset is a car and this car is a Naboka, for instance, or some matatu or Uber, so the receiver will be receiving every income that this car generates, and that income is channeled towards, okay, that income is channeled towards repayment of the loan. It is channeled towards the repayment of the loan. Guys, are we together? So that is appointment of receiver. That's the second one. So you appoint a receiver. You appoint a receiver. You appoint a receiver. Are you together? Thank you. You appoint a receiver. Now, after that is you can lease the property. You can lease the property. So you sue, appoint a receiver, or you lease. You lease the property. So what is leasing? How do you lease the property? So take the property, give it to someone, let them use and let them pay you. Okay? They pay you. If it is a car, give it to somebody that somebody will be using it and then they'll be paying you. Okay? So you lease it to someone will use it and then they pay you. After they pay you, whatever they pay you, you use it to offset the loan that they secured so that the grantor had. So the bank will take your car, the bank will lease that car to maybe an Uber driver. The Uber driver will use the car as Uber. Whatever they receive, they'll be paying. If it is a truck, you can lease it to someone from Kinangop. That person from Kinangop will be using it to carry whatever comes from Kinangop. And then they will pay something small to the bank, and the bank will use that to recover the money that was loaned to the grantor. And then, of course, lastly, which is the fifth one, is that they can sell it. At all time, they can sell it. They can sell. Oh, that is the fourth one. They can sell it. Okay, they can sell it. So that is the power of sale. They can sell it. So they can take the car and and that is what they usually do. They sell it. The fifth one is they can take possession. They can take it. They can take possession. So if you use your car, if you use your car as a collateral and you're not paying the bank is just seeing you. The bank is seeing you. Okay, just passing by the bank with your car and you're not paying the loan. The bank can take that. You know, some people are very shameless. Wako na pesa yako na wanakula tu vizuri. ukiwaona huku wanakula kila siku, wanapost mpaka status na wajalipa pesa yako. So mtu kama huyo kishiko na hasira uende uchukue vitu zake kwa nyumba, si they can't blame you. If you have somebody's money, don't eat well. Pia ujifanye unateseka ndio akuwe hata na huruma kidogo akuachie hiyo pesa. But kama wewe unakula vizuri, kuku na rarua na soda mbili, hiyo si mtu anaishi vizuri. So the bank can take possession over your property. Okay, they can take the property, or it doesn't have to be the bank, could be me. I will take your property, everything, including your bed, including yourself. I will take you with me. Okay, so that is taking possession. So what are the options in terms of if somebody defaults in terms of repaying the obligation under MPSR? Number one, sue them, appoint a receiver to receive the income. The third one, you can always lease the property, you can take possession, and you can sell. Okay, those are the 5 options. Those are the 5 options that we have. Those are the 5 options that we have. Questions? That is the end of MPSR. Questions? Yes, let us start with somebody called Ndolo. Ndolo.
Yes, Malima, I was just wondering, so if the value of the asset is much bigger than maybe the secured credit or loan, so is there a provision for the secured creditor to refund some of the money in case maybe they sell the asset?
That is the law. That doesn't have to be written anywhere. That is automatic. If you use your car as a collateral, if you use your car as a collateral, your car is 5 million, but you took a loan of 100,000. Okay, if they sell your car, they have to refund you. But the problem is some banks or some people will sell your car at a throwaway price. That is a problem. The law says they need to sell it at a good price, but sometimes they'll sell your car at a throwaway price. Your car that you bought for 5 million, they will sell it at 1 million, and then they get their 100,000. Once they get their 100,000, they'll get their interest. They'll pay the auctioneers, and then the rest they will pay their lawyers, and then the rest they will pay you. So at the end of the day, you'll run a loss anyway. You'll run a loss because your property will be sold at a throwaway price. But whatever remains, it's yours. They will give it to you. That is the law. Are we together?
Yeah. So Malimu, just to clarify, so does it mean then that we do not have like, a valuation of sorts, so that the secured creditor cannot sell below that price?
No, that is in the books. Well, ground vision is different. They have to value the property. You can't sell without valuing. Valuation is important. Before they sell anything, even in charges, they have to value your land. So valuation is there, but there's a for sale value. You know what a for sale value is? So what I'm saying, whatever you're saying is what is in the law, but qua ground, try taking out a loan for even 10,000 using your car. You will lose that car because they will sell it at a throwaway price. They will refund you, but whatever they have refunded you cannot get you another car. So either way, you've lost the car. And you've seen these instances. You've seen people always crying, to banks, that banks are selling their motor vehicles at a throwaway price. Okay? Banks are selling their motor vehicles at a throwaway price. And therefore, you can't get anything. Your car's been sold for 200,000. Will you get a car for another 200,000? You can't. So qua ground, we do need different. But the law requires that they have to do valuation anyway. They must value the property all the time. Even when it comes to charges, the land must be valued twice. Okay? All right. Mutinda, Redemptor. Quickly, guys, we don't have a lot of time.
Good evening.
Mutinda, Bishar, and Odero. Those 3 questions only. Mutinda?
We have said that you can create a security right over a future asset. I'm wondering whether they are going to give you the money before they see the asset.
Yes, that depends on which the bank. If the bank is your father's bank or your grandmother's bank, or the bank is yours, they will give you the money. Guys, nobody stops the bank from giving you the money. The money is the bank's. You can go to the bank and the bank can give you the money for free. The bank can tell you, hey, young lady, you are dressed so nicely. Let us give you some money. The bank can do that. Nobody will beat the bank. That is their money. Whatever they decide to do with it, that is their problem. So the bank can trust you. For instance, if you are known, for instance, let's say Mutinda is you're one of the governors of central bank, okay, or you are one of the renowned business ladies in Nairobi. We know you. We know you have the money. We don't disturb you. You don't even queue at the bank. We'll just call you directly to the manager's office, and the manager will ask you, how much do you need? You tell the manager that there's a car I'm shipping from the UK. It is coming next week or next month. I want a loan on it. How much do you need, madam? 3 million. Unapewa tu. Lakini kama wewe ni mimi tu, hauna kitu, he, tapiga line kwa bank mpaka uchoke, uende nyumbani. So yes, the bank can give you money anytime they want, depending on who you are. Who are you? Tuko sawa? All right.
Thank you.
Odero. No, Bishar and then Odero. Bishar?
Yeah, Mwalimu, thank you. Mine is Mwalimu. We know that in this MPSR, it involves with three parties, and that is the grantor, the secured creditor, and the registrar, and that is the office itself. So, what is the obligation of the office that registered, maybe that's located under e-citizen or PRS? Sometimes if maybe it's only their mandate is just to register, or they sometimes enforce these registration things, that maybe if the grantor default, do they go and notify that this non-payment to first start with the office that registered the security? That's my first.
No, it's just like the land registrar. The land registrar doesn't care about what happens between you and your bank. If you take a loan on your land and you default, it is between you and the bank. The registrar simply receives the notice that you registered. That is all. They don't do anything on it.
So you just have a prima facie to avoid for third parties that is involved.
The registrar only provides the information. What is the work of the registry? To provide the information. Should any person want to do a search, they go to the registry and they search. The duties of the registrar is to first receive the information and then store the information and then make it available to the public. Those are the three functions of every registrar. The three functions of every registrar is number one, receive the information. When you register the notice, they receive it. Okay, they have to make sure they receive it. Number two, they store it in a way that is integral. And then thirdly, they make it available to the public. If there's any person that wants that information, the registry will be there. You just go and get it. So they make it available. That is all. That is all the work of the registrar. Nothing else. They don't care about what happens with the property, whether it is yours. No. That is the work of the bank.
So, okay, that's understood. Mali, my follow-up question is, or in MPSR, there are these frequently used terminology: security, perfection, and enforcement. So, in my understanding here is security is the agreement, and perfection is the registration.
Security is not the agreement.
Security is no. Security is the collateral.
No. Collateral is a collateral. The security is a what? We said it's a security. It's a security right.
Okay, so for you to create that security right, there has to be an agreement between the grantor
and the creditor. It is created by the agreement. When you create something by the agreement, it is not the agreement. The agreement creates the security right. For instance, the charge. The charge is not the document. You can call it the charge, yes, but that is not the document. The charge is what is created by the document. Okay, the right that the bank will have over your property, the interest the bank will have over your property is the charge, but that paper is the agreement that creates the charge. Are you together?
Yes, got it. And the perfection is the registration.
Perfection is what you obtain after registration. So how do you perfect it? By registering it.
by registry. Any enforceability, is it about the notices that you give to the person, the 2 month or maybe your powers?
So enforcement, when you're saying I'm enforcing my security right, it's just the recovery. How do I recover my money from you? I'm enforcing my right. What is the right? The security right that I took, I mean that I created over your asset. If you default, how do I enforce it? How do I enforce it? How do I recover my money? So enforcement simply means, how am I recovering my money? I am selling. I am taking possession. I'm leasing. I'm appointing a receiver. Okay, or I'm suing you. That is the modes of enforcement, how I enforce my right. Are you together?
Yeah, Malimu, in this enforcement, maybe you have secured that as a livestock, and you know the livestock with the drought and famine, they all died. Will they go to your other properties, or that is the end of the security?
No, it's like when you have a car, when you take a loan with a car, Bishar, and your car has been written off through an accident, for instance, what happens? You'll still find a way of paying the bank. So substitution, you substitute. So if you have another camel in Wajir, give the bank that camel, replace. And that's why we have what we are calling the amendment notice. So that if the car is lost or stolen, you just do an amendment to amend and introduce another collateral. Tuko sawa? If your laptop is stolen, are we together? Tuko sawa?
Yes. Yes.
Odero, lastly.
I wanted to seek a clarification on some process. You said when, in terms of cancellation, let's say the grantor has fulfilled the duty, has completely paid the debt, and has written to the secured creditor to issue a cancel to notify the registrar to do the cancellation and.
You don't notify the registrar. The registrar is not a party to this transaction. You write to the bank and ask them to do a cancellation. If they refuse, that is when you go to the registrar.
Okay, and now, so just a follow up. How do you prove to the registrar that you have you have complicated sorry, I mean you completed your obligation from your end? Are there
Susan
any
Magu, wait, Susan, is that you making noise in the background?
Like when you went in someone.
Susan.
Mom is getting there. Why did you lose it? I don't lose it.
Huh? Okay, David, unmute again.
Yes, I was asking how do you prove to the registrar now that you have completely paid the debt and you want the cancellation to be done?
What do you mean? You don't know whether you completed the debt. If you paid the bank, you have evidence of paying the bank. You have evidence of the loan. I took 1 million. These are my statements. I've paid 1 million back plus interest. That is easy.
Okay, so
evidence of payment is easy.
Yeah, that's okay. So how do you do the application? That's my question. What's the procedure?
Just write to the registrar. Just write to the registrar, and then this is very informal. Just write to the registrar, and the registrar will of course, there's a procedure. They will ask you to show evidence of debt and evidence of payment. There is no specific procedure that you have to follow this and this and this and this. Okay, so you just notify the registrar. Write to the registrar. Could be your standard form, could be your own form, and then the registrar will proceed. And of course, they have the procedures now. They will ask you whether you've paid. Of course, they will notify. They will notify the bank. Why is the bank refusing to register the cancellation? And the bank will say, oh, this person is yet to pay this amount of money. There's some interest still remaining. And then each party will bring evidence. The registrar will make like kind of a ruling, like a decision that, okay, because he has paid, proceed and cancel. That is what happens. So the registrar will do that on their own volition, or they will force the bank to register the cancellation.
Okay, and then one last one, just a follow up. Who pays or who incurs the expenses when in an instance where a receiver is appointed? Is it the grantor or
that question is very easy. That question is very easy. The bank never pays anything. They pay nothing. They will never pay anything. The bank will not pay anything. Every cost will be incurred by the charger if it is a charge, or by the grantor if it is MPSR. The person that goes to borrow the money, that's the person that pays everything, including the lawyer's fee. Everything is paid by the person that is borrowing. The bank will not incur money, including paying the bank's advocate. You will pay the bank's advocate. The bank don't even pay their own advocates unless the bank has been sued. But in terms of transactions, the bank don't pay their own advocates. Are you together?
Thank you. That's satisfactory.
All right. Now somebody read for us question. Now we want to look at some few questions before we adjourn on the things that we have discussed, so that you understand how these things are set in real life. Question 4. Somebody read for us question 4. That is 2020, October 2020, question 4. 2022, not 2020, sorry. Kabiru, I can see you there. Soma.
All right, question 4. Your friend Mamboleo works as a Kiswahili language tutor for a local institution, a job he has done for the last 8 years. During that time, demand for tutors in the language has steadily increased, especially as the country has become a business hub in the region, attracting investors and students from abroad. He is keen on leaving his current employment to start his own business, but is short on capital. He has some livestock in his rural home, a motorbike that he uses for transport, and sundry household items. He is not sure whether he can raise capital using these assets as security. Mamboleo has approached you for advice on the specific nature of the security agreement he needs to enter into with a would-be lender, the requirements for the agreement to be valid, and the steps regarding registration of the agreement. Advice Mamboleo.
Very nice. Very, very nice. Guys, this is a paper that was set in October of 2022. Just 3 sittings away, 3 sittings ago. Okay? So, you see the question. This is what it is. As direct as it did. When it comes to MPSR, they don't hide the question. They don't hide them. They're obvious questions. Okay? Now, can you understand what the question is asking? Yes, you can. Can you now provide an answer to the question? As well, you can. Okay? What is the question asking? What is the specific nature of the security? Number 1, the security agreement. This one, the examiner has even told you. Okay? The requirements of the security agreement. Okay? And the steps regarding the registration. The same thing I've just taught in this class. Okay? There is steps regarding the registration of the security agreement. Now, if you don't get these 10 marks, or if you can't get at least 8 marks, or 10, actually 10, then you need to just go and meet God. I will look for you and I will take you to heaven myself on a direct ticket. Now, mkono ama mikono zinafaa zikuwe juu. What do you think, guys? Is it a hard question? Is it confusing your mind? Put up your hand and give me the answer. So this has 3 types, 3 parts. The first part is the nature of the security agreement, okay? And then the requirements of the security agreement. So in terms of nature, we talk about on what is it created? On what is it created? That is all. And then the requirements of the security agreement, and then the steps regarding the registration of the security agreement. Very easy, marks. Please, 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 somebody put up your hand. Nobody's having their hand up. Have I been beating music to the goat for the past 1 hour and almost? I've been beating guitar to the goat, right? Is that the case? Guys, you can't hear me? Okay.
We can hear you well, Malim.
Your hands is what you can't raise, but you can hear me well. Guys, should I have like 4 questions that I want us to look at? So we can either leave, I can give you the reference of the questions so that you can go and do them yourself. And then we proceed with the class to something else, partnerships. Or we can all take part and participate. So which one is easy for you guys? Because you guys are giving me a hard time. You're stressing me. I don't like stress. I'm only seeing 3 hands. This class has over 160 people. I'm only seeing 3 hands. What are you telling me? That for the past 1 hour, 2 hours, I have just been singing? My goodness. Guys, what is the nature of this security agreement? Or the security right that needs to be created here? Hata simnifurahishe kidogo. Furahishe kidogo na 10 hands. Ama 30. So what's happening? Should I repeat the whole thing? Somebody tell me, should I go over it again?
Normally, let's proceed the question.
We can proceed with the question with 2 hands. That is extremely unfair. Extremely unfair. We can't proceed with this question with those hands I'm seeing there. So if nobody's putting up their hand, then everybody should put their hand down, and then we can proceed to the next topic, which is the question on partnerships. I wanted us to look at a few questions, but look at you guys are very tired and not interested. From 160 people, this small question you can't answer. Yes, in kupimana. Okay. Koskei Chemu. Is it Chemutai? Yes.
Hello. So the specific nature of the security agreement is a movable property security right, which is in the it's created under the Movable Property Security Rights Act, and that's the nature. And then the requirement for the agreement to be valid is it should be in writing and signed by the guarantor.
No. We first answering the first part, the nature. The nature first.
So
Thank you very much.
So is that okay? I'll say that the nature is a movable property security right that is created in accordance with the Movable Property Security Rights Act.
On what? On what?
It's created on assets.
On what asset? Wewe unanipima kwa kichwa, si ndio? On what asset, guys? On what assets? That's a simple question, is it? I'm still on you, Koske. What you're saying is right, but I want you to be more specific. Koske, I'm still on you. Koske, please. All right, let's go to somebody else called Nyambura.
So I'd say it's a movable property security. Huh?
Huh?
Yeah, so it's a
Yeah.
movable property security, right? In terms of the nature, and it will be created against. The question mentions a motorcycle and some livestock. That's all I can remember. Kindly scroll up.
All right, let me scroll up. So start what you just said.
Yeah, so it's a
So
movable
advise
nature.
this person as a layman. So he's in your office. Advise.
So I'd say the nature of this, the nature will be a movable property security, right? That will be registered against
Wewe nakuona sana. What are you saying? Usharibu. You're saying a very good thing. Usharibu. Guys, what is happening? Paris, what do you have to tell us? Guys,
Okay.
quickly. Paris?
Okay. I will advise him about the security.
Where? Don't say you will. Do that. Advise him. What do you mean you'll advise him? Now advise him.
Okay, Mamboleo. You
Don't call his
can.
name.
Okay. Sawa.
Hey, unajua nacheka kwa nini? Hii ni maajabu sana.
I'm advising Mamboleo.
Unamuona hapo unamuadvise.
Yes.
Wow. Hey. Hii kazi ni ngumu sana. Guys, so advise, what is the nature? So start by telling me the nature of this. Start by saying that the nature of this.
Okay, the nature of the security, it is the movable property security, right?
Okay.
Whereby he will use it to raise capital through the properties that he has, the motorbike and his rural home. Then he will proceed to register the security right.
All right, let me coin that word for you so that we can move to the next part of the question. So the guy just asking what it needs to do with this document. So there's not much you're going to say there except just one word or 2 words or 3 words or just one statement. Okay? That the nature of this security rights or the security agreement is a movable property security rights that is created on the movable right. Or you can tell this person that, number one, he can create, okay? He can create a movable property security rights over his movable assets, namely, the question says those assets there. Number one is the livestock. Number two, the sundry households and the motorbike in favor of the lender, okay, in exchange of the amount of money that is loaning or is borrowing. It's a very simple thing. That is what we started with. We remember on the list that I gave you, what it is, what is it, what? That is what the question is asking you. I said this. I took us through this process and I said what it is. Number two, how it is created. Number three, contents. And then what happens after the registration. I mean, after the creation. That is exactly what the question is asking. The same thing I said. Guys, what is it? Guys, listen. What is it? Okay? How is it created? The contents of the document, and then what next, which is the question of registration. So what is, you are advising this person that he can create a security right over his movable assets okay, in favor of the lender in exchange of the amount that is borrowing. And these assets are, number one, the livestock, number two, the motorbike, and number three is the sundry households. Okay, the sundry households. Are we together? And then you go to the next part of the question. So that is already what? You're telling, because remember, the question is telling him he's not sure whether he can raise capital using the assets. So you have to make it sure for him. What can he do? What? The question of what? You can create a movable property, security rights, over your movable assets, namely the motorbike, the sundry households, as well as the livestock, in favor of the lender or the would-be lender, as the question puts it there. If you are told the name of the lender, sometimes some questions will tell you the name of the bank. So you'll clearly indicate this bank or this lender. Are we together? So in favor of the lender in exchange of the amount that is being borrowed. That is all the question wanted for the first part, the introductory part of it, which is the question of what. The next thing is now the how. Let us go back to the question again. Okay. The next question is now saying, what are the requirements of the agreement? What are the requirements of the agreement? What are the requirements of the agreement? Okay. Now this agreement is, what is the name of this agreement? So as you answer the question, tell me the name of this agreement and then the requirements of the agreement. See, easy, guys. These things are very easy. You guys are just complicating life. Put up your hand. What are the requirements of the agreement? The requirements of the agreement. Guys. I want somebody that has not spoken in this class. If you've never spoken in my class before, okay, it is your time to shine. Okay? Guys. If you have never spoken in class, put up your hand and tell me. If you have never spoken in class, say something. What is the the requirements of this agreement? So tell me, what is this agreement, and then what are the requirements? Quickly. Let's talk. Hey guys, all the people that are having their hands up, they're people that have spoken. I know all of you by name. All of you, put your hand down. If you know you've spoken in this class, put your hand down. Somebody that has never spoken in this class ever since we started in July, or is it August? Put up your hand. Hey. We need to, guys, we just talked about, guys, you can't understand if you don't speak about it. Okay? Penina, you are speaking this class every day. Your hands should be down. Okay? Nobody wants to speak. Anyway, Kalunde, Irene, tuanze na wewe. What is the name of this agreement? Irene, Kalunde, Ayuko.
The name is security agreement.
The security agreement. What are the requirements of the security agreement? Number one.
Number one is the grantor.
Wewe umetoka wapi? What are you saying? What is the first requirement of a security agreement, guys? Kamau, Jamima, what is the requirement? Guys, I've just taught this thing right now, right? Saa hii tu hata asijaenda mahali. Bado tu nimesimama penye nilikuwa nimesimama. I'm still standing next to my board where I was standing before. I will not even sat down. Na mmesahau, surely.
It shall be in writing and signed by the grantor.
Perfect. That is the first one. It shall be, the security agreement shall be in writing. Number one, shall be in writing and signed by the grantor. Those could be 2 points. Writing and signed by the grantor. Number two, what is the other thing? Yes, Cheserek. Omalo Florence.
Hello.
Time. Next.
It must describe the property. used to secure the loan.
Yeah, but before you get there, I want us to proceed in order. I like orderly things. What is the first thing before you go to the property? Yes, Jemima Kamau. Have we spoken? Susan Wangui. What is the first thing? The second thing. So it must be in writing and signed by the grantor. Number 2, it must
identify the secured creditor and the grantor.
It must identify the secured creditor and must also identify the the grantor. So those are actually 4 points. The first point must be in writing. Number 2 must be signed by the grantor, must describe the secured creditor, must describe the grantor. The 5th point. Yes, somebody call Vivian Savala.
It must also describe the secured obligation.
What is the secured obligation? Yes, it must describe the secured obligation. The last one, let's talk to Obure, Gavin. Not there. Alingo Penina. Not
Yes,
there.
it must describe the collateral that is used to secure
Yeah.
the loan.
Thank you. It must describe the collateral. So it must describe the collateral. So that is exactly what you needed to have indicated there. What you needed to have indicated in that part of the question. Okay. The other part of the question is now asking you to discuss the steps regarding the registration of the agreement. How do you register the agreement? I just said that. Just mention 3 points or 2 points. How do you register the agreement? Put up your hand, guys, quickly. How do you register the agreement? How do you register the agreement? Hey. The registration, yes, somebody who has not spoken something. Say something. Hata kama ni salamu, sema tu tunakusalimu kwa jina la Yesu. Hiyo pia ni jibu. Don't leave this class without saying something. Okay, somebody who has not spoken. Shekina Varsito.
So the process of registration begins with registering on eCitizen through the initial notice.
You've already registered. That is not the process. You've said through registering on eCitizen. You've already registered it.
Through filling the initial notice.
So the filling out of the initial notice. That is the first one. Filling out of the initial notice. What is the next process? Yes, Omwenga. Eric Owino, Savala, mute your microphone.
I'm saying then we pay the registration fee, and then lastly we submit to the registrar for registration.
Yes, so fill out the initial notice, pay the registration fee, and then submit it to the registrar. Okay, now you can add this is submitted. This is submitted online via the eCitizen portal, or the online registry, which is the collateral registry that is hosted on eCitizen. You don't have to mention eCitizen, but the most important thing is you fill out the initial notice, which will contain, remember that the initial notice will contain all the information in the security agreement. You pay the registration fee, and then you submit it to the registrar of collaterals for registration. Are we together? That is the simplest answer to that question. Guys, is there anything that could confuse you there? Anything that could confuse you there? Is there any of it?
No.
All right, let us go to another question. And let us go to another. Somebody's having a question.
Mwalimu.
There is no question there, Bishar. I don't know what you want to ask in that question.
I know there's no question, but just when we are describing that one, and can you just put it also the agreement? I mean the registration as the for the last point after we've said that the identification of the collateral. That process of
I'm not getting the question. What is the question?
the question, Malimu, when the key requirement for the MPSR agreement, we say that written agreement, identification of the secured creditor and grantor, and the obligations, the collateral identification. So can we just put it registration? The security right must be registered with the relevant authority.
No, that's
As
not
the
a
fifth-
requirement. That is not a requirement. Registration is not a requirement. Remember, what is section 6 saying? What is section 6 saying? Let's go back to section 6, which I'm already highlighting on the screen. The security agreement entered in accordance with this section is enforceable and creates a security right irrespective of satisfaction of any requirement, which is the requirement normally is the registration. So whether you register it or not, it is still a valid security agreement. Registration only perfects it and makes it effective against third parties. Are we together?
Okay, thank you.
So registration is not a requirement. So guys, please move with me and make sure you're understanding this point. This point is very easy, but you can walk out of this exam with nothing, okay? And nothing is nothing and nothing and nothing. I mean nothing. Are we together? With 0 marks if you're not careful. But you can also walk out of this exam with 10 marks. Like the nature I've said, which is the question of what? I discuss it, guys. Okay? I discuss it. What? The next thing is how, which is the document now, and the contents of the document. And then what happens next is the registration. So the process of registration, we discuss it. But remember, registration does not make it valid. Once you create it, it is valid. Once you have an agreement, it is valid. Are we together? Once you have an agreement, it is valid. What makes it valid is the creation. Once it is created, you can register it, and registration only makes it effective against third parties. All right, Bishar, read for us question 4 of 2022 as well. That is April.
Salome received admission to an Ivy League university for her master's studies and must register by January 2023 in order to secure her position. Unfortunately, her application for full pay scholarship was unsuccessful. Salome is keen on securing a loan from a financial institution which has requested for her for some form of security. The only item that Salome's parents own that may be of a worth is a farmhouse in a rural home. Advise Salome on whether she may present the farmhouse to the financial institution as a security. What details, documentation, and its features are needed for this form of security?
Yes. So advise her on 2 things. The first one is whether she can create a security right over that property. Okay. And number 2, the details and the documentation and the features of this documentation that are going to be needed. Okay. So I discussed this and I told you this is not a movable property. This is not an immovable property. This is a farmhouse, which is like a movable asset. Okay, so the context of this question was a movable asset, which is the farmhouse that you just go and put in there. I mean, I don't know whether you've seen what I'm talking about. Normally, there's some structures you can build them at your place, and then you carry them, and then you go. That is a normal farm. It's movable. So the question was an immovable question, and a movable. An MPSR question that was testing whether you understand what MPSR is about. Okay, it is not a charge, it is a movable property. So once you know that is a movable property, like I've already told you it is, now tell me. The first question is whether she can. Put up your hand. Can she? What? The question of what? Okay, the question of what now? And then the next question is the question of how. Deborah, why are you having one name in my class? You are Deborah who?
Wangui.
Proceed and answer the question of what.
So first of all, since it's our farmhouse and it's not a permanent feature, and it can easily be moved, then it falls under the movable property and thus can be thus can be used to secure a loan.
Or
And
yes, that is the simplest answer to that. So she can create a security right over the asset. She can create a security right over the asset. Are you together? She can create a security right over the asset in favor of the lender to secure a loan. That is the simplest answer. Now let's go to the other part of the question. The other part of the question is documentation. So the question of how. So in answering the question of how, you just need to tell us how is this security right created and what are the contents of this, Guys, hii kila mtu afanye mkono juu. Kila mtu aweke mkono juu. Everybody, put up your hand. Hala. Everybody, mikono. Guys, we've talked about this. You don't know it. Sai tu. Aluya Alawi, Alosi Samora, Adhiambo Ochieng, Abigail, Abdul Kadir, Dami. You guys don't know the answer to this question. Or what are you telling me?
Jackson, I know the answer to the question. However, Teams is not allowing me to raise my hand.
You're not just raising your hand. What do you mean Teams not allowing you?
Yes, I can only access the audio version on my end. I don't know, maybe because I haven't updated my Teams. Anyway, the answer is the document required is a security agreement, which is created.
Answer the question of how. Answer the question of how. That is not how you approach the question of how. So answer the question of how.
Creation of a security agreement. I thought that is how.
Answer the question of how. Yesu Kristo, mtoto wa Bikira Maria, kuja unichukue tuende na wewe mbinguni, tukunywe maziwa na asali. Hii dunia inawaachia. Guys, here, Katwa Alex, answer the question of how. What is the first question? What can she do? And we have said she can create a security right over the farmhouse in favor of the lender in exchange of the money. The same thing we have talked about Mamboleo. Mamboleo can create a security right over his movable assets, including the motorbike, the crops, and the animals. Okay. Now here she can create a security right over the farmhouse. Okay. Now how? What is the question? That's what I'm asking. Okay. Huku ni kunoma. Mambo ni live, Mambo ni live. Okay. Somebody that has not spoken. Wacha niache ku force issues na nyinyi. Jarvis Otwal. How?
By creating a security agreement over the property.
Wewe. What have you said? How do you create the security? You said we can create a security right. Okay, over the asset. How? By creating a security agreement. Wananitafuta maneno tu. Hata nimenyamaza tu, sitaki mambo mingi. Murimi wa Mudhoni ama Mudhoni wa Murimi. Ongea na sisi. Penina. Obui Victor.
We create the security rights by filing an initial notice, paying the requisite.
Sit down,
And
my
first,
friend. Wewe enda tu ulale, my friend. What are you saying? Guys, nitaingia kwa hii meeting saa hii tu. Amecharaza kila mtu. Nianze na Thika Road nikitembea huko chini kuingia inaitwa aje? Cabanas. Nicharaze watu wa Cabanas nikipanda Kangemi. Nimalizie Rongai. What are you guys telling me? Honestly. Hey, maybe you guys are tired. Let me give you a benefit of doubt. Bishar.
Yes, Mwalimu, it's by writing an agreement that will create a security right agreement. That's
Hey, huku ni kunaoma manze. Huku ni kunaoma. Hii ni maajabu. So by writing an agreement, that will create a security rights agreement. Guys,
not just writing an agreement, Mwalimu. That's a question of answering how
how
over
do you
the
create a security? How do you create a security right? Okay. Somebody that is sure now. Tua Joan, tell us.
By the grantor signing the document that has been the security agreement that has been created.
Well, umesema by signing the document that has been created. How do you go to Nairobi? By being in Nairobi. That is what you're telling me. Guys, nini mbaya? Kezia wa who? This question is, and this is how guys fail exam. This is a typical example of how people fail exam. The exam is not hard. We've done this question. You see all the questions that you're going to be sitting this exam in just a minute in November. They're not new questions. They're going to be repeating the question that they've said. In the previous paper, we've just seen we've answered a 10-mark question on the same thing, literally word for word. Now in this one, you guys have forgotten everything. You can't even answer it. Kezia, what is the answer?
Mwalimu, my answer is she can approach any financial institution first and have maybe a sit down with the institution and agree.
Stop going around. It's like telling somebody you want to go to Nairobi. What do? Sleep early, oga, usiku. That is too far.
Okay, I think just going to the financial institution and having the agreement.
What agreement?
That the security agreement.
What you're saying is okay, but I want you to put it in words. Guys, use your words. What is the first thing? What can she do? She can create a security right over the farmhouse in favor of the lender, okay? In exchange of the loan that she wants to take. Full stop. First point, you get your marks. Now, the next question is how she's going to create it. The question of how. How is she supposed to create it? You told him you can create. Now tell us how is this supposed to be creating it? Last person, Kefo Moy. That is the last answer I'm taking, and then we are going to something else. Kefa Omoi, how is it created?
The grantor will sign a movable property security
Wait.
agreement.
What do you mean the grantor will sign? Guys, can you guys get serious with your life right now? Get serious now. You can't sign what you don't have. What are you signing? All right, because of time, let's move away from that question. So guys, the answer is very simple. The first part of the question is what needs to be done, which is she can create a security right over, let me take you back to the question. She can create a security right over the farmhouse in favor of the bank or the financial institution in exchange of the loan that she's taking. Okay. Full stop. Then the next one is the question of how. How can she do it? Okay. And you'll be indicating that that security agreement, so that security right will be created by a security agreement which shall include the following details. Okay. So you've given the documentation and now the details of the documentation. Okay. What have I said? That security right shall be created, or the security right shall be created by a security agreement which shall include the following things. Number one, it will be in writing and will describe Salome's details as the grantor. It will describe the financial institution's details. It will include, it will describe the collateral, which is the farmhouse. It will describe the secured obligation, which is the amount of money that is being given to Salome. Okay? Full stop. You guys are going round and round and round saying the wrong things. Guys, when you say the wrong thing, in your mind, I know what you want to say. I know it, guys. I know what you want to say. I'm not saying you don't know. I know what you want to say, but you don't know how to say it. Okay? So, this is the marks. You need to, you are getting, unaomba marks. Acha niseme, unaomba marks. Marks aiombi hivyo. You have to omba it vizuri by being procedural with your answer. Don't just throw words by writing a security agreement that will create a security agreement, right? What are you saying, my friend? The moment the examiner will not give you any benefit of doubt. The moment you say something wrong, they take the marks away from you. Okay, so make sure that your first point is a what. What will they do? What can they do? They can create a security right over the farmhouse in favor of the bank or in favor of the financial institution in exchange of the loan that she's being granted. Okay. Number two, the security right shall be created by a security agreement which shall have the following details or having the following information. Number one, will be in writing and signed by Salome. Number one. Number two, we'll describe the grantor, who is Salome. Okay. Number two, we'll describe the secured creditor, who is the financial institution. We'll describe the collateral, which is the farmhouse. We'll describe the secured obligation, which is the amount of money that will be disbursed to Salome. Full stop. Guys, what? How? The security right is created by a security agreement which shall be signed by the grantor, describe the grantor, the secured creditor, the collateral, and the secured obligation. Guys, you know it. Shida ni kuisema. When you're writing your exams, guys, remember the examiner is not your friend. This person doesn't know you. They're not your friends. They are paid to do that part of making sure that you don't get a lot of marks. So don't give them the discretion. So make sure that everything, okay? Make sure that everything is proper. Now, when you come back to the question, Salome has the right to create a security agreement because we said, number one, the property belongs to the parent, but from the question, when you look at section 6, it says two things. The first one, either the person has the right to the property or has the right to create the security right. So in this question, of course, the parents will be authorizing that transaction because it belongs to them, and is the child that is going to be going to the Ivy League University. Which still there's no problem with indicating that the grantor will be the parent. Still, there's no problem with that. The most important thing is you have to answer whether the property can be used and how it can be used, and the details of the documentation, which is a security agreement, what will go into the security agreement. So guys, don't make the examiner look for points in your answer. Go direct the point. 1, 2, 3, 4. Full stop. Chonjo?
I have a question.
Who is that?
This is Musyoka.
Yes, Ndolo.
I was just wondering, because it's a farmhouse, isn't it fixed? So in that case, then
my friend,
I don't know how we arrived.
Stop wondering.
Fast.
Ndolo. Stop wondering first. The first thing you need to do is stop wondering. The second thing you need to do is you need to pay keen attention. That is what I explained the first thing I started this question. That is the first thing I explained. I've explained that twice in this class. When I started the MPSR, I explained the concept of a farmhouse. When I started this question again, when you read it, I explained the concept of a farmhouse. So you didn't get that?
Sorry, I missed it, Mwalimu. I'm sorry for that.
No, it's okay. Don't apologize. Just don't wonder. Don't wonder too much. If you wonder too much, you'll miss the point. So like I've said, this farmhouse is not the farmhouse that is a fixture, okay? It is not a fixture. It is an MPSR. And if you think that is not the right thing, you look at how even this question was marked. Every person that described a charge met their death. They were not given marks. So it was a farmhouse, which is a movable property, a movable asset, okay? So you have to be very sure on that as well. So guys, the questions on MPSR are not complicated. They are not complicated, guys. They are very simple questions. I don't know whether somebody is having a question on, if you have the 2021 paper.
Excuse me.
Before you are excused.
Still on the same question before we move on.
Before you ask, relax. If you have the 2021 paper on 21 June, if you have it, that commercial paper, send me that question right now. I need to project something on question 6, which is also a question of MPSR. Let's start. Deborah, what is your question?
So my question is relating to an alternative way of answering this question. So we mentioned receivables. So could you also say that this farmhouse could also be rented out and the income that is generated from it could be used as collateral? Thus also.
What are you saying? You can't use that. You can't use that. That is not.
Receivables. You mentioned receivables as part of.
But have you been told that here?
No, but an alternative way of actually, because
why can't you talk about a motor vehicle? Why can't you tell Salome to use a motor vehicle?
Because that's not what the question is asking. The question is asking about a farmhouse.
Exactly. So motor vehicle is an asset, right?
True.
A farmhouse is an asset, right?
Yes.
A laptop is an asset, right?
Yes, but in this case, it's
listen. Just listen. Just listen. You're not listening. A motor vehicle is an asset. Is a movable asset, right?
Yes.
A farmhouse is a movable asset, right?
Yes.
Animals are movable assets, right?
Yes.
A receivable is a movable asset, right?
Yes.
Which of these have been mentioned here?
The farmhouse.
So why do you want to use a receivable?
Because it can be generated from the farmhouse.
So why can't you say you can sell the farmhouse and buy a motorbike and then create a security right about the motorbike? Can you say that? Can you tell them to sell the farmhouse and buy a motorbike and create a security right about the motorbike? Can you do that? Deborah?
But then that wouldn't, it's
Can
not
you do that?
emanating from the farmhouse directly.
It is emanating from the farmhouse directly. You sell the farmhouse and you get money and you buy the motorbike. The same way you can give the motorbike, the farmhouse to someone, they give you money and you charge the money. Does it even make sense? Charging that money, you have the money now. So what I'm telling you is simple. Don't create an asset that is not given in the question. Okay? Don't create. Hata huyu mtu wa nduthi, the last question tumefanya, that is Mamboleo. Mamboleo had a motorbike. You cannot tell him, you can use your motorbike and then the money you get from the motorbike, you can. That is not what the examiner is looking for. What asset have you been given in the question? Receivables are assets. A car is an asset. All of them are assets. But which one? Don't go looking for an asset. Don't go create an asset. Okay? Don't create an asset. use the asset that has been given to you. What you're trying to do is you're creating an asset. You are telling this person, you can lease the farmhouse, and then that money you're using, you're leasing the farmhouse for, you can use it as a collateral. That is not what the question has told you. The examiner could as well tell you that Deborah has approached Salome to use the farmhouse as a shop in exchange of rent. Now, in that instance, you could bring the question of using that as a receivable, but the question has not told you. So you are creating two things. You are creating the renting part and you are creating the receivable part, which is the wrong bit of it. Don't create an asset. Don't say, but uko na pesa, si ulipe tu. Hapana, hana pesa. What the examiner said is what you're going with. Are you seeing what I'm saying, Deborah?
Yes, yes.
There is no alternative. The only question is, I have a car. It's like somebody telling you, I have a car. What can I do? You cannot tell them that you can lease your car to mtu wa Uber na kupea pesa na utumie kama collateral. No. Unless the examiner has mentioned it specifically, you cannot create an asset for yourself. Okay. Any other question? I'd asked a question on whoever is having 2021, the 2021 paper. I'm yet to see. Don't send me a picture. I cannot project a picture. So if you give me 2 minutes, guys, I can project that question. I think it should be question 6. Don't send me a picture.
Mwalimu, there is a link that can take you to the question. It has from 2016 to 2024, I believe.
That is a long way to go. Yes, there's somebody has shared it with me. Let me just see. You guys don't have these papers. What are you guys revising at night? What are you guys revising at night? Ama ni kulala tu 444. Ni kudoze tu. Doro. All right, let me try and open this. Unalala 8 hours. Somebody told you will glow when you sleep 8 hours. My friend, glowing is not easy. You think sleeping will make you glow. You will wonder. Don't sleep 10 hours. There's nothing you will gain. All right, so that's a question. I'm trying to bring it there. Hey, but this question is funny. So can you see my screen? That is 2021 June. It's a very funny paper, but I hope you can see it. If you can see it, somebody read it. Question 6. Yes, and somebody, sorry, somebody that has the past papers. If you have the link to the past papers, share it to the group so that everybody can access the past papers. Yes, question 6. Somebody read. Mr. Emmanuel Josiah.
Mr. Emmanuel Josiah recently invested in a T800 model posho mill. His enterprise is located in a far-flung corner of the country, desperate for posho mill services. Mr. Josiah is now reaping good returns. He now wishes to expand his business, and ABC Bank has agreed to loan him some money in exchange for pledging the posho mill as security. ABC Bank has approached you to draft the security agreement. Briefly explain to the bank the requirements for the creation of a security right and its right of enforcement in the event of a breach.
Yes, guys, this is a direct question. 5 free marks. So Mr. Emmanuel Josiah is having some posho mill at the far-flung corner of the country, which are desperate for posho mill services, the lower side of the world. Okay, so Mr. Josiah is reaping very well, very good returns because of the ugali eating there. Those guys eat ugali until they're crying. Unakula ugali mpaka nalia, unashangaa what's going on here. Ugali tu anaenjoy. Anyway, so this person is trying to get a security to expand and have more posho mills. Okay. The question is asking you guys, the posho mill is not the house. Okay. The posho mill is not the house. The mill is the machine. The machine can be moved. It was brought there. It can be taken somewhere else. Okay. So the posho mill is not the house. So don't interpret that as this is a fixture. No, the posho mill is the machine that is doing the grinding. You can move it from there. You can take it to another house. You've seen that happening for those who have seen posho mills. Okay. Now, this person has approached ABC Bank. So in this question, you've been given the collateral. You've been given the collateral. Number two, you've been given the name of the grantor. You'll be given the name of the secured creditor, which is the ABC Bank. So the question wants two things. Number one, explain to the bank the requirements of the creation of this security right. What are the requirements of the creation of the security right? And then the enforcement, the right during enforcement. Si ni rahisi sana guys. Hata mkibeba mkono kila mtu. Si mimi tu nitakuwa nafurahi na nashukuru. Nitakuwa nafurahi tu sana nikishukuru. What are the requirements of the creation of the security agreement? Kila mtu, this is the last question we are doing, I promise. This is the last question we are doing, and then we can go and sleep. If you guys put up your hand quickly. Quickly, guys. Quickly, guys. Only one hand. Hey, guys. Are you here? Can you hear me? Maranya, Rosalind.
Okay, the requirements are it should be in writing. It should be signed by Emmanuel.
What should be right? What should be in writing? Guys, like I said, guys, don't give the examiner excuses of not giving you marks. Okay? Don't give the examiner excuses of not giving you marks. Please. Okay? So please have a complete statement. Proceed, Maranya.
The security agreement should be in writing.
Perfect. Yes, should be in writing. Tick. Next.
The security agreement should be signed by Emmanuel Josiah, who is the grantor.
Perfect. Tick.
The security agreement should have the name of the parties. One of the parties is Emmanuel Josiah
Which parties? Which parties? You cannot say name of the parties. Let's go to Alingo, Penina. So pick from where she has left. Thank you so much, Maranya. So written, signed by the grantor, who is Emmanuel Josiah. Alingo.
The security document should include the
security document? Security what?
So the security agreement should include the name of the bank being the secured.
Should include. Don't say should include. Should include. That word is not making sense to me. That word is not making sense to me. Guys, we are still having trouble answering this question. We are still having trouble answering this question. What is the answer there? The security agreement must be signed by the grantor. Must be in writing, must be signed by the grantor. The next thing we want, Penina.
The security agreement must have the name of the creditor being the ABC Bank.
What do you mean must have the name? Must have the name. When you talk about must have the name, use another word.
Okay, the security agreement Jesus. Okay, the security
hata wewe pia umesikia tu hii tunaita tu Yesu lazima tuite hapa.
Okay, the security agreement must identify the security agreement shall be in writing and signed by the grantor, identify the secured creditor and the grantor.
Just stop there. And then here?
describe the secured obligation.
And then here,
Describe the collateral.
so answer the question. Not just the name. You don't just need the name. The name is not enough. So when you're giving us the name and everything else, what are you doing? You are describing. The security right should describe or will or shall describe the grantor, shall describe the secured creditor, shall describe the collateral, and shall describe. Description is not just the name. Description, guys. Okay? Must be in writing, must be signed by the grantor, must describe the secured creditor, must describe the grantor, must describe the collateral, must describe. It is not a, it is a requirement. When something is a requirement, it must be there. Okay? You cannot say that should have the name. The name is not, a description is more than the name. Your name, your ID, your address, your email, those are your descriptions. Tuko sawa? So not just the name.
Okay, yes,
So that is
Mwalimu, I
that.
understand.
All right. So guys, you need to go refine your understanding of MPSR. Please. I know maybe it's first time getting through this discussion, but please make sure you are giving a complete statement. Now, the next thing is, so when you're introducing your point here, you're just going to be saying that the following are the requirements for the creation of the security right, okay? By first indicating the security right shall be created by a security agreement which shall have the following, or we shall include the following. The first one, the security agreement must be in writing. Number two, the security agreement must be signed by the grantor. Number three, the security agreement must describe or will describe or should or shall describe the grantor and the secured creditor, the collateral, and the secured obligation. So you introduce your point that the following are the requirements for the creation of a security right. Okay, full stop. You go to the second part of the question, which is the rights of enforcement its rights of enforcement in the event of breach. Okay, now introduce your point by saying that the following are the rights of ABC Bank in case Emmanuel Josiah breaches the security agreement. The first one is, what is the first one? Kombe Tanya. Kombe Tanya.
Sorry, I had trouble unmuting. I had a question. I wasn't replying to your question.
Let's mute your microphone now. Let's go to someone else. Miss Elizabeth, we'll come back to questions later. Miss Elizabeth, what is the first one? Mutinda Redemptor, proceed.
They can sue Emmanuel.
They can sue. Number two, just proceed.
Appoint a receiver.
Appoint the receiver. Number three.
Some income. List the property.
Okay.
They can also sell the property.
Okay.
And also take possession.
And take possession. Full stop. You have your marks. 5 marks, 5 good marks. Guys, one takeaway for this one. One takeaway for the discussion we've had. A long discussion we've had today. Before I take questions, you need to understand how to put your points as you answer the question. Introduce your point and don't be lazy with your words. Don't be mean with your words. Use your words. Don't just drop them, okay? Don't drop them. And also understand that questions have parts. So like the one we've done has 2 parts. The first part is the requirement. The second part is the enforcement. So please, once you know that, everything will be fine. Everything shall be fine. So please, I'm begging you, take your time. Like I've said all the time, do not worry. If you're not getting it, don't worry. Okay? But I know you're getting it because it's very easy. The only problem is now putting the point down. And don't be in a hurry. Guys, do not be in a hurry to answer the question. Just breathe in, pole pole, kidogo, and then start. Introduce the point. Guys, introduce the point. If you're told what are the contents of the document, don't say number 1, this. Just introduce the point by saying the following are the contents of. You have the whole booklet there. Don't just throw the word. The following are, and please have good handwritings. Jesus Christ. Have good handwritings, please. Okay? Some of you have handwritings that I don't know what's happening in their life. Please have good handwriting. There's no other way. Okay, if you go to CLE website and you see the worst performed papers, one of the things that will stand out of all the worst performers is the handwriting. Constant. You might think they're all writing the same way. Constant, poor handwritings. So even if your handwritings are bad, please try and make something that is introduce the point. The following are that. Okay, so that even the examiner, the person that is marking is feeling nice marking the paper. And I've said, guys, you guys, okay, you guys already have the point. You know it, you know. Hata kama amtaki kusema, you know it. But the problem is now putting it down in paper. So please train yourself on how to put down it. The easiest way is to introduce the point. Just repeat the question and then write the answer. The following are the contents. The following are the requirements. Okay? Repeat the question and then answer it. If you do that, you're going to be find it very easy for you. But that is MPSR. Everything on MPSR. We've done all the questions that have ever been set on MPSR. The one that we've not done is in 2019. It is in 2019, should be question 6 as well, that we've not touched. The rest of all questions on MPSR that have ever been set on MPSR, tumefanya. All. So they're just the same things. If they do set it this time again, which I think they will set the same thing around section 6, which is the creation. Oh, there's one that was set in November 2021, question 1, 2, that was talking about the question of valuation of IPs. I'll talk about that question later because of time. So that is the only question that is remaining. So all the question will be the question of section 6, the creation, registration, enforcement. Creation, registration, enforcement. Creation, registration, enforcement. Please, please, please make sure you have that. All right. So the November paper we'll see it next time as we introduce partnerships. So please, please, please take care of yourself, but ask questions. Let's start with questions before we adjourn. We'll start with you, Tanya. Was it Tanya? Somebody had a question. I don't know. I think that was Tanya. Tanya, you still have a question?
Yes, I still do. Do we need to quote the section or?
You don't need to. You don't need to. This is commercial. You don't need to quote section. Nobody is asking you question. That's why the examiner is not even telling you we decided with relevant sections of the law. No, you're not being told that. Okay, you can, but that will just, just advice. We assume that you know. When you give us the right section, the right provision, the right points, we shall know that you know section 6. If you give us the right content, we shall know that you know section 6 of the act. Okay, so please, if you can mention sawa, but that is not a requirement. That is you just giving extra points. Tuko sawa? Don't have to. Tuko sawa?
Okay, it's because I was looking at the question B. I just had to scan through, and the bottom is written under the relevant law. That do we have to quote the section?
No, that is just talk about CGT. What does the law says about CGT? Okay. So you're not being told to give with quote the section. No, just advise this person considering the relevant law on CGT. The reason why we have not talked about it is because that is CGT. We shall talk about CGT when we talk about taxation. Okay, we'll come back to that question and talk about taxation. So guys, we'll talk about all questions on MPSR except one in November 2021. So the only question that I know all the questions that have ever been set on MPSR. All of them I know. So we've discussed all of them except 2021 November question 1 on software copyrights, which are also MPSR. So I'm telling you, there's nothing else that can be set on MPSR that you don't know. You know them all. The problem is putting it down on paper. So practice, give yourself some time to just master and be a master of the skill, and then you'll be fine. By the time November comes, you guys will be untouchable, okay? You guys will be untouchable, but also don't be afraid to participate in class. When you participate in the class, I also feel like, something is happening. Maybe these walls are thinking I'm a mad person. Maybe these walls think that I'm a very mad person because I'm speaking to myself all the time. So please say something. Hata kama ujue anything, nisalamie tu. Salamu peke yake. Put up your hand and say hi. That will be enough. Okay? Participate. Ask the question. You will not know it's the right answer if you don't ask. All right, guys. If there's no other question, I will stop sharing. Done. I will stop the recording there. Ask for the recording now. If you can. I know you can. And me,